So now we're in Act 2 of Quartz Quadrant. Again, it's a fairly uninteresting level. The conveyor belts screw up your momentum, and you can roll down them to make them easier to deal with. And I love the fact that there's a slope there you can roll down and go fast, but the spring sending you back is kind of annoying. There's also these crumbling floors, weird looking badniks. There's plenty of trivia about this game that I haven't mentioned yet. Like, it was originally planned that there would be an extra level for this game in the remake called Desert Dazzle. A glimpse of it can be seen by entering 32 and 8 into the sound test, which is the level select cheat for Tails. Hacking can reveal half-finished attempts at making a desert level. I don't understand why they thought that was a good idea, because nobody likes the desert levels, especially not in Sonic games. So it's a good thing that, like, the reason they decided not to put in extra levels because they want to respect the original by not adding too much to it. They wanted to stay close to the original. And now we're coming up to one of my least favorite bosses in the game. The boss of Quartz Quadrant. Yeah, when Sonic collects an extra life, there's actually a voice actor saying something in response to it. Like, he goes, yeah! Stellar voice acting there. It's like he wasn't even trying. Ironically, it wasn't actually a he. It was actually... Her name is Kiko Utoku, who is the lead singer of the band Dreams Come True, which was the J-pop band that was responsible for making the music of this game. Presumably the Japanese soundtrack of this game. Probably not the American soundtrack. I hate this boss. I really hate this boss because basically what you're supposed to do is keep on running and make sure that you're running for as long time as you can, because that'll make the boss fight end faster. Because somehow Sonic running, I guess, damages the bottom of what Eggman's standing on with the friction. This boss took me several minutes when I first tried it because I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I just kept jumping because I thought that was how you avoided getting hurt. But no, you're supposed to be running for as much as you can. And I think this boss fight drags out way too long. Once you know what to do, it doesn't take so long. In the classic era, the main voice actor for Sonic was Jaleel White from the cartoons that were called nicknamed Sad AM and Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Sad AM was actually called Sonic the Hedgehog, but that's what the fans call it. And it's kind of weird that Jaleel White was not the voice actor for this game. But yeah, this is Wacky Workbench, and this is easily the most infamous level in the game. Because if you land on this workbench, then you get bounced all the way up. And you can tell that this is an early Sonic game because I guess they hadn't yet gotten it through their heads that the higher routes are supposed to be the good areas. Because here, the higher route is not where you're supposed to go. You're supposed to stay low. You're supposed to get the precise platform exactly right by landing on the platforms and staying below most of the level instead of trying to get through a higher route, because there's no higher route. If you try to travel through the higher route, you're gonna end up getting stuck because you hit a wall and there's really no way to progress from there. You have to go down. I kind of like the idea because it encourages, oh, I hate those things. They freeze you, and well, if you mash buttons and the control stick, then you can get yourself out there, and you can get yourself unfrozen without even losing rings. But that just makes it all the more infuriating, the fact that if you get frozen without any rings, you still die no matter what. But anyways, I kind of like the idea of the workbench because it encourages getting the precise platform exactly right. And so it makes the platforming very satisfying. But still, it's really annoying how when the workbench sends you all the way up to the higher route, then it takes a long time to get back to the lower route again. Because it's not like you can just jump off one area and just fall and just wait to fall back to the lower route. No, you have to go left and then right and then left and then right over and over again. And when you're in a different time period from the present, I think it's only if you're in the future, there's even more electricity for you to dodge. And there's so much electricity that it feels unfair that you're expected to dodge it. But my biggest problem with this level as a whole, or at least Act 1 anyway, because Act 2 isn't really that bad. My biggest problem with Wacky Workbench Act 1 is that it's really hard to figure out where you're supposed to go and how you're supposed to progress. I always thought this first appeared in Sonic Advance 1, that hanging off horizontal poles and shimmying along it thing. But no, it turns out it first appeared in this game. That's the weird thing about Sonic CD. So many gimmicks were actually introduced in this game. And you see them again in later Sonic games and you think they originated there. But yeah, it takes me forever to get past this level, this act, every time I get here because I get so lost. And it's not like you just go right. You don't just go right. You have to go right. And then you start going left. You go under here. You go under the ice flame here. And then don't land on the workbench without rings or you'll get sent up to the electricity. This rewards precise platforming, but it also takes a long time, so it's really not satisfying to use. It's very long and tedious, and it sends you right up to an ice flame. What the hell? When you kill the badniks in this game, they turn into flowers for some reason, which is really weird. I mean, I know that Sonic has always had, at least in the classic era, a whole theme of nature versus technology. And Eggman is portrayed as evil for taking animals and stuffing them into robots to be his slaves. Now, I've always been firmly on the technology side of things, because, you know, futuristic technology makes our lives better. I mean, we got computers, we've got the internet that makes who would normally be lonely social outcasts have access to a community full of people like them. It gives people friends, it gives people careers, it gives people all sorts of things. And that's not even getting into medicine and TV and all sorts of great modern conveniences that we wouldn't have if it weren't for technology. Indoor heating, air conditioning, indoor plumbing. How is nature in any way the winner of the nature versus technology debate? I mean, I just don't understand it. So, I'm glad that they didn't push even further the whole nature versus technology debate with later games, because it would make Sonic look like an idiot because he's on the nature side of things. And it would make him look kind of old-fashioned and closed-minded. Because if you argue too much for the nature side of things, then you start arguing for, oh, that being a hunter-gatherer dying at the age of 30 because you have no access to modern medicine is the good and noble way to live. Yeah, sure. Although Sonic isn't entirely on the nature side of things because his best friend is an engineer. He hasn't met Tails yet in Sonic CD because this takes place right before Sonic 2. But it doesn't change the fact that he is not entirely against technology as a concept. I mean, later on we see him walking around in cities, and he doesn't really seem to hate them all that much. And again, he's friends with an engineer, so he doesn't hate engineering and futuristic technology by sheer principle. It seems like he's just a guy who loves nature and doesn't like animals being trapped into robots. And yeah, I got really angry here. And I resorted to pause scumming to make sure that I got the platforming right, because that's another thing. When you land on the workbench, you get sent upwards really fast. Like, so fast the camera has trouble keeping up with you. And I kind of like that because it's a Sonic game, you should go fast, but at the same time it makes it kind of hard to keep up and keep track of where you are. And I was just wandering around lost here. I get stuck. I always spend an eternity in this place every time I come here. That's my biggest problem. Like, the workbench alone is horrible, but, well, it's not completely redeemable. It would have been nice if it had just taken you to the higher route, and both routes were equally good or something. I'm struggling to think of how the workbench could have been a good idea. But it's the fact that I get lost and have trouble figuring out how to progress. That's what enrages me the most about this level. Act 2 isn't all that bad, it's pretty short, but this is horrible. And again, the invincibility theme, the invincibility and speed shoes theme, the Japanese version, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but it's a remix of Toot Toot Sonic Warrior, which is the fan nickname for You Can Do Anything, which is the Japanese theme song for this game. Which, I don't think I show off the lyrical version in here. I know I show off the instrumental version because it's what I show off at the end of the game. But the lyrical version is really stupid because, you know, it's got this really lame rap in it that's really happy and upbeat. And it's also got this woman in it who is singing really obvious English. Like, you can barely make out what she's saying, and it's kind of amusing actually. You barely understand what she's saying at all. I can understand why they changed it. Because Sonic Boom is easily one of my favorite songs in the franchise. Like, it is epic. Like, it is really, it's perfect for the intro. And they play a slowed down version of it for the ending cutscene in the American version. What is the point of that thing? It sends you up to the ceiling and you can't do anything. Finally, the goal. Finally. I'm free! Ugh. And I don't like how the workbench is constantly flashing. Like, epileptic warning, anyone? Ugh. But yeah, I don't think these things work like the ones in Sonic 2. I'm not really sure. I think you have to clip through the launcher chair in order to time travel in this area. Or at least, I don't know, because that's what I heard, but it seems pretty easy to travel to the past here, as I just shown. It seems impossible to travel to the past in the previous act, though, considering the level design. So again, if you're going for I like how this game makes it so that there's two options you can take to get good futures in the Act 3s. You can collect all the time stones, or you can destroy the robot generators. Yeah, you have to press A at exactly the right time to get flung to the right with these things. And I don't really like that because you're moving around them so fast. So it's really easy to mistime it. I like these things though. They're pretty fast, they keep up the fast pace. And they make it really, really easy to time travel. Like, why couldn't Wacky Workbench Act 1 be like this? And I prefer the Japanese song for this level. Like, I mean, it just makes me smile. Especially the past theme of it. And I usually don't like the past themes in this game because they're too laid back and it bores me, to be honest. Like, Tidal Tempest Pass is the definition of a boring song to me. It's literally like a lullaby to me. I haven't talked about Tidal Tempest themes yet. I love them both, to be honest. Like, the Japanese version of Tidal Tempest theme is perfect for a water level, and the American version is actually, ironically enough, I prefer the American version. Even though it doesn't really suit a water level all that much. Yeah, this is what happens on your first playthrough of this boss. This boss isn't very intuitive when you first start it out. Basically, the platform that you land on is always guaranteed to be the one that doesn't go the highest. So you always have to jump over to the platform nearby in order to get high enough so that you can get to the next part of the arena. And the annoying thing is that if you get knocked back and fall into the center and and you're sent back here. Then you have to go back up. And sometimes it can be really difficult to get back up without dying. And if you lose your rings here, you're pretty much guaranteed to not be able to get them back. Especially if they fall through the floor. And I hate how the blocks can crush you when they come down at you. The rock hit you, but it doesn't actually kill you. And this felt like a Kaiser trap when I first played the game, because I didn't know that you had to stand on the block that rose the lowest in order to not get crushed by the ceiling. Because everything about the boss fight before that point told me that I was supposed to jump to the next platform. But at the final hit, that's not what I was supposed to do. They just create challenge by suddenly changing the rules on you. That's bad design. I hate that boss. Yeah, I showed off the Japanese boss theme for that because I felt like it suited Wacky Workbench pretty well. But yeah, a platforming-based boss is not something that Sonic games should have. That's just me. See you in the next part.